I'm starting to suspect the latter. I don't know what's going on around here, but I'll get to the bottom of it after my inspection. Commander McGinty, shall we proceed? Where is this notorious air raid shelter where these hula girls are supposedly located? Finn, caught completely off guard by the unexpected twist. The direct confrontation he had so desperately sought to avoid, tried to recover, his mind racing. Yes, sir. Of course, sir. Immediately, sir. Would you like to start with the base laundry? Sir, a paragon of military cleanliness. I assure you, not a single sock out of place. A testament to efficiency. You could eat off the floor, sir. No, not the laundry. Bumble shrieked, fighting against Lieutenant Kreider, who was attempting to escort him back to bed, his pajama-clad body flailing like a beached walrus. The air raid shelter. Please, the air raid shelter. They're girls, I tell you, I guess. Those little things, small and jiggly and in skirts. But you'll be late, McGinty? That nonsense. Don't you dare try to thwart the Admiral's divine right to inspect. I'll decide where. To start this inspection, McGinty, not you, you disingenuous devil. Jawbreaker, however, merely shot Bumble a weary, exasperated look. Now back to bed, sir, at once. Captain Bumbleton, your presence is a hindrance to proper military procedure, and to my rapidly fading patience. And that is an order, a direct, unequivocal order, sir. Bumble, utterly vanquished, a crumpled, defeated figure, was shoved back onto the cot by Kreider. Jawbreaker then turned to Finn, his expression now one of grim resolve. Let's go look in the air raid shelter. Commander, lead the way, and let's see if your story holds any more water than the Commodore's fevered imaginings. Yes, sir, Finn replied, attempting to maintain an air of professional composure, even as his internal panic klaxons blared a full, ear-splitting, deafening alert. His heart hammered in his chest like a frantic drummer. He knew what he had to do, race ahead, somehow, magically, impossibly, evacuate a dozen sweaty, half-naked sailors before the Iron Jaw arrived. As they neared the shelter, a heavy, squat concrete bunker half hidden by overgrown tropical vines, Finn, with a sudden, desperate burst of inspiration, leaned into Jawbreaker. Sure, Admiral, did you hear that? I believe they're getting away. Yes, in the bushes. Admiral, the Nip infiltrators. They must have been hiding in the bushes, sir. We must pursue them. Admiral, immediately, this way. He made a show of scrambling through a thicket of overgrown foliage near the shelter, hoping to divert Jawbreaker. Jawbreaker, however, was not so easily swayed by amateur dramatics. His eyes, fixed on the shelter entrance, barely registered Finn's antics. He ignored Finn's flailing, marching purposefully towards the heavy metal door. Just as he reached for the rusted handle, a truly astonishing sight greeted them. The heavy metal door burst open with a loud clang, and a dozen sarong-clad hula girls, the sailors from Finn's crew, including Rocky Ridgeback and Specs Miller, along with a few other hefty individuals, looking surprisingly pale and flustered, their improvised costumes askew, burst from the shelter, scattering in every direction like startled exotic birds whose feathers had just been set on fire. They were still attempting to adjust their makeshift outfits, clearly struggling with the sheer awkwardness and impropriety of their escape. The air filled with muffled shouts and the slapping of bare feet on the dirt path. Finn gaped, his elaborate plan utterly, irrevocably foiled, his jaw hanging open in sheer disbelief. They're cooked. We're all cooked. Suddenly, a disheveled Commodore Bumble, having somehow eluded Lieutenant Kreider and Myrtle, burst from the same thicket Finn had just scrambled through, still in his infirmary robe, now mud-splashed and askew, and clearly in a fresh paroxysm of fury. His face, smeared with dirt, resembled a particularly angry clown. "Well, afternoon, Captain," he yelled at one of the fleeing hula girls, mistaking them for actual officers, going somewhere, Sir, running from your duties? I'll get to the Admiral about this gross insubordination. Running away from an inspection. Just then, Lieutenant Kreider caught up to Bumble, his own uniform rumpled from chasing the Commodore. Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, I am Commodore. An urgent medical matter has just come up concerning your disposition, your rather unstable mental state, sir. Well, I'm very, very sorry, Commodore, but as your physician, Kreider declared, having taken a moment to grab a stethoscope from the infirmary and drape it theatrically around his neck, I'm ordering you back to bed. Immediately, sir, before you hurt yourself or others. Now, wait a minute, Doctor. Wait a minute. Bumble roared, shaking off Kreider's gentle grasp. I'm as healthy as you are. Kreider, healthier. I made this whole thing up. The fever, the delirium, it was all an elaborate charade, a cunning ruse to trap that scoundrel McGinty. Kreider, maintaining a perfectly straight face, produced a clipboard from his coat. Yes, on the contrary. Commodore, your latest tests show that you're suffering from high blood pressure, acute indigestion, hypertension, and a newly diagnosed condition I'm calling hula girl hallucination syndrome. Not to mention acute combat delusion, sir. Your vitals are off the charts. Oh, hypertension, you quack. You medical fraud. Bumble snarled, trying to swat the clipboard away. Nurse, get me my uniform. Lieutenant Nurse Wilson. Bumble yelled, spinning around, spotting the bewildered nurse in the background. Nurse, take his clothes and lock them up. This charlatan is trying to undermine my authority. Nurse Wilson, clearly experienced in dealing with unstable officers, responded with professional calm. I'm sorry, Commodore. Now, I'm only doing this for your own good. You need rest. Sir, complete and utter rest. She moved towards him. Now, you just wait a minute. Bumble spluttered, trying to evade her. I don't have to. Get your hands off me. You can't help me. You're all in on it. He glared at Finn, who was standing quietly, trying to disappear into the scenery. Oh, I get it. You're in on it, too. McGinty's paid you off, hasn't he? You traitor. I know I'm being framed. Admiral, a setup of the most insidious kind. Kreider intervened again, attempting to usher Bumble gently but firmly back towards the infirmary. Now, take it easy, Commodore. All I want to do is to get you into bed, for your own well-being. Sir, or do I have to administer a sedative? A very potent sedative, Commodore, that will render you utterly unconscious. Very cute, Doctor. Bumble snapped, still struggling, but with less vigor. But $100 says I can walk out of here any time I want to. I'm still master of my own destiny and my own feet. Jawbreaker, having witnessed enough farcical theatrics for a lifetime, his granite jaw clenched tight, finally stepped forward, his voice a low growl that promised immediate, painful consequences. Well, $100 says you can't. Bumble ton. And a court-martial says a great deal more. A great deal more indeed, sir, for gross insubordination, dereliction of duty, and perpetrating a medical fraud on a visiting admiral. Finn McGinty, seeing the absolute futility of further denial, the catastrophic collapse of Bumble's plan, simply hung his head, a wry, grim smile playing on his lips. This was a complete train wreck, but at least he wasn't the one tied to the tracks. Days later, the stench of disinfectant and stale despair hung heavy in the air of Commodore Bumble's office, now meticulously cleaned to within an inch of its life. He was still furious, pacing a worn groove into floorboards, muttering darkly about deep-water dillies, insubordinate hosiery, and treacherous medical personnel. The incident with the hula girls and Jawbreaker had, predictably, resulted in a week of solitary confinement for Finn McGinty's entire crew, along with a scathing official reprimand that would undoubtedly follow Finn for the rest of his naval career. Bumble, however, had survived